I don't know. You're much more of a fan than me, so you're much more like nuanced about the whole thing. But it seemed like they were like pushing back the inevitable lull that they needed to take after they had those highs to really kind of reset and reevaluate what they were gonna do. And it seemed like they kept pushing that back a little bit until now, where they have to.
Yeah.
It seems like they have to take a step back and kind of relook at the whole thing.
Because you give us something as big as like Endgame or Spider-Man: No Way Home, and then the smaller projects, I feel like even though I still appreciate them, people still love them and they want individual projects that do great. It doesn't have to be this nostalgic, fucking cameo-filled, grand thing. It can just be a simple story about a character that we love. And I feel like they lost sight of that, and they're just trying to like, oh, we're Marvel Studios. We do no wrong, so I'm just gonna make a fucking movie and put it out.
Yeah.
And then if I throw a cameo in there or whatever, then people will love it. And then it's ridiculous. And I think that they should be more patient. I feel like we're also with shows coming out as well. We're getting show and movie after. I feel like every week I have something new for Marvel to watch. And I think that can cause it to feel a little oversaturated, a little too much. But Disney recently reinstated their old CEO because when COVID started, they had Bob Chapek take over, and he was big on money, 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 Mr. Krabs style. So he was like, let's put out. We need quantity over quality. We just need to put it out, and then we'll constantly be making money with these IPs. And now that Bob Iger's back, he recently came out. He was like, hey, we need to start focusing on quality. Like, these things are great. Let's take our time and let's like put them out and make them like they used to be, because people are going to lose interest, and then the putting out isn't going to be enough, and it's just going to be dog shit. So
the Bob Iger thing's interesting because he came in. He only promised for 2 years, right? And then he's looking for a permanent replacement. But what's interesting is well, like the things that he's already done since he's been back, he's been like cutting back a lot of the workforce, like the Disney workforce in general. So he seems to be like trimming a lot of the fat, like trying to get back to more of a simplified situation. And maybe that'll trickle back down to Marvel and get them to focus back on the more important things. Because you made a good point about the oversaturation for like the big fans and the true fans who have been involved and have kept up this whole time. I'm sure it's really, really fun, but like for a casual fan, like I would probably consider myself, now that I've missed a year or two, it's a little overwhelming for me to want to go back and like, okay, what show do I start on? What movie do I?
Which was already a problem whenever it's like the MCU got popular so late into the game. Like, it was already pretty popular, but it hit real mainstream closer towards Infinity War and Endgame. And so you have fucking 10 years of content, and now in just a span of 2 years, or 3 years now, we have close to the same amount of content, if not more, to add on top of that. So you want to get new fans or casual people to enjoy them, but they're like, especially with the cameos and the nostalgia and the fan fucking jerking off the fans, the people who are like, I'm just here to see a good movie, are like, what the fuck is going on? I don't understand. Who's this guy? What's the deal with this? And I feel like if they take their time, people have more time to be able to watch the project in between and then be like, oh, I kind of like this. Oh, this is coming out in a few months. Cool. I'll go see that. But yeah, it's too much for new fans, because I was the same way with Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I enjoy it, but it's just, it was new, and it wasn't even that much. But it was the fact that there was a bunch. It was like, what, 10 movies?
Yeah.
So it was like 10 movies I had to watch. Not only they were older movies as well, in the beginning, and even though I watched
decades of content.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. It was still a lot, but
slowing down the momentum at which they're going, I think would be a great idea. To at least, if they've lost some of their fans, it's a good way to kind of get them back on the train to look forward to movies again. Because I'll see something. And I'll see something that's being promoted coming up, and it feels like 3 months later there's going to be another project that I have to watch, and then 2 months later there's going to be a show on HBO or on Disney Plus that I have to watch.
Yeah, it's a struggle being a fan. I gotta say, it's a
a lot of stuff to keep up with. But at least you have, if everything else fails for you, you have all that stuff that you can sell in the back. you'll have a goal.
If the MCU keeps up the way they're going, this is going to be worth nothing.
That's also possible.
The way I think that the MCU should handle their stuff, I think the individual movies should be great, their own thing. It shouldn't really. You could do the post-credit scene to kind of contribute to the overall thing leading up to the Avenger movies. But what I want for fans or casual fans is I want them to, everyone, casual, hardcore alike, to go see the Avenger movies every time they come out, because it's an Avenger movie. It's like it's a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Go see it and either see that movie first and find a character that you really liked, and then have the option to go back and watch their movies to get more content on the characters you like. Or let's say you've only watched the Ant-Man movies, and then when you get to the Avengers movies, okay, then there's a little something for you. I want it to be where you don't technically have to see every single project. I want the projects to be so on their own that when you see the characters, it's not like, oh, it's just filled with stuff that no one understands. It's like, okay, cool. The story on its own is its own thing for Avengers. Like, anyone can enjoy it without having to know all the inside jokes. But then you still have those characters that are like, oh yeah, I watched those movies. I actually watched those movies. That's cool. I know what they're talking about for that one. And I think that's what they should really master, instead of having every single film feel like that. Because Avengers movies are the ones where people are going to be confused. There's going to be the inside jokes. But I want the individual movies to just be all like, hey, this is something that a casual movie goer can just watch and enjoy. Like, that was a good story on its own.
And they used to be really, really good at that. Because I don't know, all the Avengers movies, you could watch those. I mean, other than Endgame, probably.
I watched Endgame without remembering a single thing about.
Oh,
Endgame was when I started my fan shit, which will piss a lot of hardcore Marvel fans off. Like, oh, so you just jumped on the hype train? Yeah, but I rode that shit. I hijacked the hype train.
No one can ever say that you're not a true fan. You took over that shit. You're the conductor.
Yeah, me and you watched it, and I had nothing, and I still felt great emotion, and that caused me to go watch it. That's what I want the Avengers movies to be, that. And then I went and saw the movies that really, it was cool individual stories that you enjoyed when you saw the characters on screen in the Avengers movies and the interactions. You're like, okay, you liked them because of the things they've went through, but it wasn't what drove the story and made the story great. It just made it better.
Do you think that they're actually going to be able to turn it around, or do you think they are going to be, a franchise that just kind of disappears into the sunset?
So I think that right now they're just in a weird spot. Like I said, they were putting way too much stuff out. I think that there's too many good movies that it's hard to fuck up, and I think that the reason that these feel so how do I word it? Feel so much less or not as good as we want them to be, is because these movies that are going to come out in the future, they're probably putting a lot more effort into those and making those better, because we have Spider-Man 4, which is going to be great. The Fantastic Four, that movie is one of the most hyped movies coming out before the Avenger movies, and we don't even know who the cast is, and it's supposed to come out next year. So,
wow, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was coming out next year.
I think they pushed it to 2025, or maybe it was always 2025, and I'm tripping. Anyways, it's supposed to start filming soon, and it's been announced for like 3 years now. We've known of the movie, but we've gotten nothing over who plays who, and that's a big thing in the fandom. We have Deadpool 3, which is bringing back Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, and it's Deadpool's first movie in the MCU. So then that'll
bring a lot of casual fans back. Well, this is the Deadpool edition for sure.
And then that'll bring the X-Men, the Fox universe fans really excited to come in and stuff. And yeah, I think that they just need to find their footing, figure out what they need to be humbled again. And I think that Phase 4 and the beginning of Phase 5 so far is going to do, even though I loved Ant-Man, fantastic film. But I think they just need to be reminded, hey, just because Marvel Studios is in front of it does not mean that we are just going to love it. They need to. I want them to start. I want them to make movies. I want them to make like good. These all feel like CGI, stupid, corny. It's exactly how people have been describing the movies before when they weren't.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Like a lot of the people, not Robert De Niro, one of the Martin Scorsese, he was like famously quoted, saying that Marvel movies aren't real movies. He's not the only one. Like a lot of people have said that it takes away from the beauty of movie making and whatever. But for a long time, like Marvel got to stick up their middle fingers to that, because the numbers they were pulling and the emotions they were pulling out of the viewers. It justified that, but this smaller projects they're putting out now, it kind of plays into the quotes that people were saying about them before.
Starting to be more, but because before they're all like, "Oh, it's not real film. It's not real film." They got to remember that these are books. These are comic books. This is not. It's not technically supposed to be a movie. We're taking these stories, and they're great stories. It's entertaining, and that's the focus. Film, yeah, I get what they're saying. They're not like. Films have these different ways to make it all artsy and great and fantastic films. Like there's films that are good because they're good films, but this is an entertaining universe and the stories are great. Like I feel strong emotions watching these. Like if that's not cinema, I don't know what is.